With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Me too.
Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio.
Hope you heard that part.
On WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know what time it is. Let's just do the intro. Which I should have set up already. There you go. We got to make this quick. It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC. Of course, I'm your host. But we got to do something different today. Make sure you are paying attention because a story that is all of a sudden out of nowhere grabs some of the attention of some people who have been ignoring it for a long time. We've been talking about it here for close to 3 weeks, maybe even 2.5. And that is hydrilla and, of course, the use of DQuat. And now we have a public official on the line who has been investigating this, has been involved in this for quite some time. You may have heard him on Brian and Company this morning, but after listening to that interview, I thought that he needed an opportunity to talk a little bit more with us about the use of DQuat and the dangers of hydrilla. So please welcome to the program, Mr. Greg Bugbee. He is of the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Welcome to the show, Greg. Greg, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we've got literally like about 17 minutes to get through all of this, which is a lot more time than you had on Brian's show. So I want to get past the particulars. You folks found out about the hydrilla problem in 2016. You realized that the strain was something you had never seen before. You guys started doing surveys, and then in 2019 to 2021, you found close to 1,000 acres of this stuff all over through the waterways. And then in 2023, you got the United States Army Corps of Engineers involved. They started doing food dye testing to find out where, if they were to use a herbicide, where it would flow in the waterways. Is that correct so far?
So far, that's very correct.
All right, good. Want to make sure that we did that. Now, let's get into the important part. In your interview with Brian today, your research department did 3 years of research on this strain of hydrilla, but I've got to ask a question. Did you know that in 2015, Austin, Texas was already using grass carp to remove their hydrilla from their lakes?
Yes, I'm fully aware of grass carp, and it has been used in Connecticut in many lakes, and we've surveyed the lakes where it's been used to determine the effects it has on the plant community. Yes. Okay, so your research department did know about that. Okay, I was worried about whether or not they had Google. No. We've actually got a paper on Candlewood Lake where these grass carp have been introduced for the last 10 years, and we were fully aware of grass carp and their ability to control vegetation.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Candlewood Lake because that is an important inquiry that we have here. And that is, because you said on Brian's show that you were not, you didn't seem to understand what the response was or why the negative response to DQuat was coming out there. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on.
We're a little bit taken back at all the kind of the hoopla that's occurred because, again, this product's been used for so long with a really good track record.
So if you understand what happened at Candlewood Lake, you do know that there was a protest there about the use of DQuat to the point where they scaled it down to only a couple of acres. I think it was anywhere between 10 or 60. And the rest of the lake, they use the carp. Now, I know that's different with the Connecticut River because there's no real control if you in the river because they'll flow elsewhere. But you guys, you couldn't have been surprised by the outcry of the use of DQuat if you're familiar with the case of Candlewood Lake.
Well, what I was driving at is that with all the public meetings that have been had over the last few years, and there's been front page articles in the Hartford Courant on what was being done. In the New York Times, there were some articles. And all the efforts that have been made to make sure the public was notified. We were hoping we would have heard objections sooner. And there was no objections. It was, very positive. And that's one reason why, I think I said what I said. It's more I was surprised that it had been so, that over the years, everything had been very positive. Not that I'm saying it shouldn't have been, but, that's really what I was driving at.
Okay, no, it's not a gotcha. I'm just trying to understand when you said that, and I know you had limited time. That's why I haven't brought you here, so you can clear that up. You also said some other things that I want to get to in a minute, but this is the part that I'm concerned with. So the Army Corps of Engineers shows up in 2023 to do a food dye test to find out where the DQuat would flow if it were used in Connecticut waterways. Can you explain to me, as a person who's in the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry, as why they would be concerned about a safe and effective herbicide flowing through the waterways? Why were they concerned about where it was going to end up if it's safe and effective?
Yes, the concern was we're in a flowing water system. The Connecticut River flows, obviously, and it's also tidal. It's tidal up north of Hartford, so you get some back and forth even up to Hartford. So in several cases they wanted to treat. For instance, Keeney Cove was a cove they wanted to treat, and they had no idea how long it would last. And in the cove. And particularly when trying to determine the correct dosage, it's important to know, how long it's going to stay in the system and that sort of thing. So it was mainly for determining the correct dosages to make sure you could use the least amount of product and still have some effective control.
So when you're talking about the dosage, meaning that in the event that the Army Corps of Engineers didn't do this testing, you might put in too much DQuat, if not too little. Is that what I'm getting?
It's correct. That's correct. Without that, again, in a flowing water system that's tidal, it's imperative you have. If not, it's like you put the material in and just hope it works. So this was, and again, they were trying to be very cautious about this to make sure they did not put too much in. What they're trying to do is not affect the desirable plant population. There's eelgrass in there. And again, if you can get the lowest possible dosage, you can often save those critical native species, and that's been a goal as well. So that's why they did the testing. It was really to get the correct dosage to protect native species and that sort of thing.
Right. We're on the phone with Greg Bugbee. He is of the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Let me play another bit that I thought was interesting in your interview with Brian and company this morning.
The perceived danger of using an herbicide in the river is what caused the viral nature of the social media. But this product, DQuat's been used for many, many decades. There's hundreds of applications, even in Connecticut each year. It's one of the go-to products. It breaks down very quickly in the water. It does bind to sediment and then gradually will degrade out from the sediment. It takes longer for that. But again, the track record with this product is extremely good.
Now, I want to ask you about that statement because the track record of DQuat is not extremely good, sir. In fact...
Okay, I'm willing to listen.
Okay. It is a fact that Roundup is used all across the country. Is that safe and effective, sir?
Again, we go by the U.S. EPA rulings and determinations about safe and effectiveness.
When was the last EPA comprehensive study on DQuat, sir? Do you know?
I do not know. All I know is
30 years ago. 30 years ago.
All right. Again, they create the laws, and I think these concerns should be addressed to the U.S. EPA to make sure. That they're doing their job. If you feel they're not,
of course. And don't worry, we've already sent the letter to them. We've actually have state senators who've also sent letters to Lee Zeldin. In fact, if you're familiar with this, Mr. Bugbee, you may know that Lee Zeldin has put a pause on the use of DQuat in the Connecticut River until his EPA, as he called it, the Trump EPA, investigates exactly the use of DQuat and its effectiveness, if it has any poison or if there's any repercussions that may happen to the general public. Let me play one more, and I got to get to a very, very important part of this conversation. Give me a minute. This is also about what you said about DQuat on Brian's show this morning.
And these products are used worldwide and certainly throughout the country, and they're really shown to be very, very safe and effective.
Now, two things with that statement. One, DQuat is not used all around the world. It's banned in the UK as well as in China. Incidentally, and almost ironically, China is the company that owns the maker of DQuat, and it is produced in the UK, both of which those countries do not use it. And we also know that we have a death rate of about 400 to 500 people per year who have used DQuat. So it's not used around the world. And as far as the country is concerned, I can give you two very prime examples that it's not safe and effective or used here in the country. I'll give you two: the San Marcos River in Texas and the Kissimmee River in Florida. They banned the use of DQuat. And for what reasons? Because of its toxicity. Sir?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that is occurring in certain areas. Again, we're going by the Connecticut DEP approvals. We are going by the U.S. EPA looking into these things. And again, I'm not a toxicologist, so I don't want to pretend that I am. I'm a plant ecologist, but I'm going by. I've been in the business for over 40 years and worked with DQuat, and we're involved. We've surveyed close to 500 lakes in the state. Many have DQuat treatments, so we can monitor whether there's harm to the ecosystem or to fish and that sort of thing. So again, we're just not seeing it. So that's all I can tell you from my experience.
Okay.
I'm
fine. That's why, like I said, I only want to get answers to what people were listening to and how they were responding to that, because they wanted to get these questions out there, and you, again, are an expert. You were called in as an expert in the Forestry department. I don't want you to think I think you're in a toxicology of all of the DQuat stuff. You're trusting the experts on this, so that it's not on you. But I do want to talk. I do want to talk about what you said on the show about eco-harvesting. This is an interesting take. Let me ask you this before I ask you about the eco-harvesting.
Sure.
Can we get rid of hydrilla at all? Can we eradicate it?
That's at the point when it gets this far. For instance, our group, we currently have a scientist here who's working on biocontrols. He's working on a fly that will feed on this. We're not anywhere near get to the point where we can say it's going to work, but we are working on that.
Right.
So eradication is going to be extremely difficult in the river, but you can certainly potentially eradicate it from the coves and some of these key estuaries and that sort of thing where it can do harm. But you're right. I mean, to think you're going to eradicate every plant with a chemical, and I think it's important that we realize what the Corps is doing. They have said, and I go to their meetings and that sort of thing. And again, I'm not the Corps. I'm not related in any way to them. But they have said from the very beginning, we just want to do demonstration plots. We don't want to get any further than that. They said specifically they do not want to take this project on a river-wide basis. They want to do some test plots, some demonstration trials, write a report on what works and what doesn't using the available tools, which were, in the case of herbicides, 3 different products, as I mentioned this morning, diquat, endofol, and Percellachlor. Because it's a new strain, we didn't know what would even work on it. You know, it's considerably different in how it grows than anything else we've ever seen and anything else in the country. So it was unknown what would work and what wouldn't. And their goal is to put information out there, get a report on what works, what doesn't, so the public can then view the report. And if they do not want to use diquat, you know, they will express that interest, I'm sure. And you know, I can't speak for what happens next, but that's really the key here is they're trying to gain.
Mr. Bugbee, don't get the impression that you need to defend the Army Corps of Engineer or EPA. We'll do that. If there's anybody we'll attack them. We're not here to attack you. Don't feel like you need to defend them. But I want to get to the eco-harvester part. This is important. By the way, if you're just joining us, folks, we're on the phone with Greg Bugbee from the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry. That is at the Connecticut Agricultural and Experiment Station. As you may know, it's CAES. Mr. Bugbee, question about the eco-harvester, because, again, you guys have been studying this since you found out about it in 2016. You did a 3-year study about it, the eco-harvester. What engagement or involvement have you or Dept or anyone bringing in the guys who do this work as far as eco-harvesters? I can think of one. We've interviewed those gentlemen from C&D Underwater, and they know all about this from the bottom up. They understand hydrilla. They understand how to get rid of it. They understand that they get it. And they've even given a proposal back in November of 23 that they were ignored. Why not talk to those gentlemen about removing hydrilla? And at least if we're doing all of this testing, why not incorporate them in this testing? And can you do that if so?
Well, again, I didn't design this. I mean, that was the Corps, but I would welcome harvesting as a potential option. I mean, we've worked with eco-harvesters at Moodus Reservoir, at Patchogue Pond. We've worked with harvesters at Lake Zor. And generally, I always say, who's going to get worn down first, you or the plant? And usually you do, the people that are doing the harvesting. You got to dispose of the material. Oftentimes...
Well, that's what they do. That's what this company does. C&D Underwater, they're called C&D Underwater Maintenance. This is what they do. In fact, I spoke to one of the co-owners named Jeffrey Cordisco, and he was on the show for an hour, and we talked to him. In fact, he knew about this. Again, when he heard about the article, I think it was in the Washington Post, he immediately contacted Dept. He contacted Dept. And I can't even remember who I think he spoke to Jeremiah Foley. Is that his name?
Yeah, he's one of the scientists in my office,
he contacted Jeremiah Foley. Jeremiah Foley never returned his calls. So it's like they had no interest in other means to remove this. And now more and more people who know about this eco-harvesting and Jeffrey Cordisco and his company who say that they know that they can remove this. You can't remove it forever, but this is an opportunity for them to, and they, by the way, they not only have eco-harvesters, they are a dealer in eco-harvesting. In other words, they sell the boats.
Yes.
So we've got a $5 million endowment. We got a $5 million endowment. Why can't we just use that money to buy eco-harvesters and take care of it ourselves?
I think a test with harvesting is very appropriate. I will certainly bring that up. Again, it needs to be funded, but I'll bring that up in my next meeting with the Corps. Is that I have no problem with harvest. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and from the perspective of my group here, we we're out here to make it as easy and as environmentally friendly as possible to get rid of these materials. But yeah, these plants. But
Greg, here's what I'm going to say.
I
You've got to go because I know I've only got you for a little bit of time. I know you got a meeting, but we have to take a break. Greg, what I want you to do is, if you can, please, if you're going to introduce this to your team and have a conversation with them, can you do me a favor and just contact me here at the show, even if you just call the line and speak to Roland? Tell me what their response was so we can tell the audience, because they don't feel like they're being communicated with.
I will do that. My meeting at 3 o'clock is with the Corps, and that's the first thing I'll bring up.
Damn it. I love it. Thank you so much, Greg. I appreciate you, man. You really made my day today, man. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Bye now.
You got it. All right, folks. Greg Bugbee from the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry and the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. We'll see. We'll see what we can get. We'll come back. More news, more views, and, of course, me. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
WTIC celebrates 100 years on the air.
We're back. Reese on the radio. That was so short. I thought it'd be longer than that. We're back. WTIC, Reese on the radio. Let's get right to the phone, because I saw the lines light up. I'm assuming that they were surprised that the opening monologue did not have an opening monologue. Let's go to Sam in Windsor. How are you, Sam?
Hey, Reese, how you doing, man? So I come from Middlebury, Connecticut. We have a lake down there called Quassapog.
Okay.
And they tried to do this to Quassapog, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I kind of went down a rabbit hole with it. And the main ingredient in this dequat stuff is actually the main ingredient in Agent Orange.
Yes, it's such.
Well, why is the use of Agent Orange illegal due to the Geneva Convention, but not illegal due to the EPA?
Because
I don't understand.
That's exactly my point. Now, remember,
But Candlewood is man-made. Lake Quassapog is a spring-fed lake, so it's a little different. I guess the carp naturally die off, and
all the carp that they use is supposed to, the life expectancy, Sam, of the carp, from what we find out, they're sterile. Their life expectancy is 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Ideally. Another thing that I'd like to ask you, just as a journalist on a sort of side note.
Yeah.
Is anyone at TIC covering the whole Sean Reyes, Southeastern Connecticut debacle, Long Island audit?
Yes, I am.
Police, yada, yada.
I am.
Awesome. Please do, sir.
You got it, without a doubt. In fact, do you have any connection to him?
I do, actually.
Holler at him. Let him know Reese on the radio is interested in covering his story. We talked about him on Friday.
I certainly will, sir. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You got it. All right, let's go to Tom in Thomaston. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm well, Reese. Thanks. Hey, that just blew me away with Agent Orange.
Yeah.
First question to you, Reese. Was that man really a state employee, or was he a paid actor you hired to play a clueless, feckless bureaucrat?
Well, look, I think that, listen, he is, in the bureaucrat sense, he is trusting the people who do this toxicology stuff. And that's the Army Corps of Engineers and the EPA.
A good point. Now, I understand for someone like me that has never followed it, not to know the study was not done for 30 years. Mm-hmm. But if that's his profession, shouldn't he have known the last time it was studied before he's saying how safe it is?
Exactly. And I think, like I said, I hated to have to beat him up for that, but I had to dispel the talking points that the bureaucrats are telling him to say. And that is, it's safe and effective, and it's used all around the world without incident. And that's just not the case. I needed him on the record to say, look, this isn't true. The UK's banned it. China's banned it. In fact, states here in the country, Texas and Florida, two of the biggest states in the country, won't use it for the reasons we don't want to use it. Environmental.
Yeah, well, that's why I made the joke about him, because it diminished his authority when he didn't even know that. And then, Reese, I'm assuming you are pronouncing it right, dequat, right?
They pronounce it diquat.
They say it is?
Yes, the way that they're pronouncing it is diquat, but from what I remember as a child, that it may be the case with a QUA that may be pronouncing the long I.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's blown out of the water anyway. Now with this new revelation,
Yeah.
From now on, we should be calling it Agent Orange. The government has paid millions and millions of dollars to veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange.
Exactly.
You can't make this.
Well,
up,
you know what? As I said, look, the Army Corps of Engineers and Bugbee even said that why did they put the red dye in the water? Because they wanted to find out the flow of DQuat when they used it. And the point is that for something that's safe and effective, they seem to be very concerned about where it's going to end up.
Yeah. Crazy.
Which runs counter to their whole argument.
Yes, it certainly does. One quick comment on the Tulsi Gabbard revelation.
Okay.
You think it's really got teeth? And then the second question is, will President Obama and all the president's men get someone like Woodward and Bernstein to go after him?
Let me put it this way. The press has nowhere to go on this one. And I'll talk about that in the next hour because it is damaging what Tulsi Gabbard and Caroline Leavitt did today at the press briefing. I'll talk about that.
Excellent.
You got it. Thanks, boss. I'll get one more. Let's go to Steve in Springfield. Hello, sir.
Hey, Reese, how you doing?
Pretty good. What's up?
Hey, I got an interesting take on this whole thing about the Russian collusion and who's going to be punished. Well, how about this? How about revoking everybody's security clearance that was in on this?
Well, that's already been done.
Make money in the private sector.
Steve, that's already been done. Brennan has had his revoked, as has Clapper, and also Andrew McCabe, and even what's his name, James Comey. They've all had their security clearances revoked.
We should go down the food chain and take everybody.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. If you had your grubby little hands on this paperwork, you should have your security clearances taken away. And if you're still in the building, you should be marched out.
Exactly.
You know,
walk them out the building like if you get fired from the job.
Damn right. With the legal box in your hand.
Yep.
Holding a plant.
And you got to go with small things that are progress, right?
Exactly. Well, don't listen. I don't know if you're going to get a chance to listen to Steve in the next hour. I'm going to be breaking all of this down with audio sound bites in the whole 9 yards, which are going to make this, I'm telling you, it's going to button this up beautifully.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I have to work for a living.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that you do. I'm kidding, of course. But you can always check it out. Just go back to ReeseOnRadio.com, and, of course, you can always go to WTIC.
But I'll tell you, I still do. I still work a lot, and I still do a lot.
Thank you. That's good. I appreciate that.
You know what I used to do? I used to be a delivery driver. You know where I used to spend my lunch breaks? Used bookstores.
Really? Bookstores? Have you been?
Yeah, I learned an awful lot of stuff.
Let me ask you a weird, obscure bookstore question. You ever been to New York? Of course.
Have I ever been to New York?
Yeah. No, you've never been to New York?
No.
Okay. I think it's still there. I'm almost certain it is. But, okay, if you ever get a chance to go to New York City, I'm going to tell you about a bookstore that you should go to, and everybody knows it. It's been in films and everything. It's called The Strand. It's probably one of the most famous Lower East Side bookstores in the world, and it's got everything. Obscure books, weird books, crazy books, great books. Still one of the greatest places to visit in New York, as far as a tourist attraction is concerned.
I'll tell you one thing I did, though.
What's that?
What do you call it? Even though Herbert Marcuse, who was the nation's premier communist during the 60s,
yeah,
Barnes & Noble doesn't sell his books. I got 8 of his books.
Really? Barnes & Nobles won't sell his books. That's interesting.
Well, no. I mean, you go to used bookstores. That's what you do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. The Strand is a perfect place to go. That's why. Because you get a lot of obscure stuff in there that you can't find anywhere else. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you, sir. You have a wonderful rest of your workday. I don't have enough time, but I'll get Tom. Stay on the line. We'll get to you on the other side of the commercial break. We'll get to you. So, as you heard, everybody wants to chime in on this Russiagate thing. But I'm not just going to talk about that. I did an article today. It's on my Substack. It's also in the Connecticut Sentinel. You should all check it out. For those of you who are obsessing about the Jeffrey Epstein thing, worried about whether or not it's going to derail Donald Trump. I want to give you a perspective, okay? I need to give you a perspective. I'm hoping you'll go check it out because it's an article that you need to read because it's in the vein of Reese on the radio, okay? The title is, Y'all Are Getting on My Nerves. And it's a breakdown of why you're getting on my nerves about this Epstein thing. I'll read a little bit of it in the coming break. I could read some of it now. Well, maybe I'll read it later on. But if you get a chance to, you can grab it at the Connecticut Sentinel, or you can go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Go to my Substack. It's posted there now. Again, the title is Y'all Are Getting on My Nerves. Talking about Epstein and MAGA country and everything else. And I want to thank the Connecticut Sentinel for tweeting it out with a pull quote. They are fantastic. Oh, also on the program today, Reverend Dell, the letter he sent to A.G. Tong, Attorney General William Tong. Got to read that letter as well. Wow, I love this letter. And we got to get him back on the show. We might get him back today, see if he's doing anything. So stick around for that. We got so much news and so much views when we return, so don't go anywhere. It's popping on this Wednesday, huh? It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080.
Listen to WTIC NewsTalk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Hey, we are back. Let's get to the phones real quick. Tom is in Avon. How are you, sir?
Yes, I am, in Staples coin.
How are you,
Some
sir?
time ago, I asked myself, well, who gets the cash, the money, the dollar bills for this?
Conversation about Bitcoin today.
Okay, sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Oh, we appreciate the call nonetheless. Let's go to Mary in Bristol. How are you, Mary?
Hi, Reese. I'm very thankful that you're there and covering these stories that are so important. I just wanted to quickly give you the name of a place that might have good information for you.
Okay.
That's reliable. The Northwest Center for Alternatives to Pesticide.
Okay.
They have fact sheets. I haven't seen it myself because I don't have computer access.
Okay.
But I did call them and ask them to send you a link to that. And I don't know if you received it or not, but if not, you can look them up.
I will look into it. And in fact, give me a second here. In fact, I'm going to throw it on my computer right now just so I have it. Give it to me one more time.
Okay. The Northwest Center for Alternatives to Pesticide. It's either in Washington State or Oregon.
You said the alternative to pesticides, right? Or alternative pesticides?
Alternatives to pesticides. They definitely do not want to use them. They know the toxicity. They know the history.
Okay, it's called NCAP.
And I think they might be able to help you.
Is it NCAP? Does that sound right?
That's exactly it.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm on it now. Thank you. That's helpful. I don't know if you know this, Mary, but I will tell you this. I was thinking about this story all day today and about because I called Mr. Bugbee early this morning to get him on the program. And the entire day I've been saying to myself, I know more about DQuat than I do about my wife's favorite flower or color. I'm doing so much research on this.
That is a sad commentary. But now that every day, the more you're having people call, I didn't know it was based on Agent Orange. I'm thinking of the guys who got cancer and died, two of them that I knew personally day to day.
Yeah, which I find really odd that the EPA, again, the role of the Environmental Protection Agency is to, and at least when I was growing up, their role has always been to stop the use of anything that was remotely cautious to the American people. Like, they were the guys who were like, if you wanted to use a pesticide, those were the guys who got in your way and they put roadblocks up against you. So to know that they are advocates for a poison that's been banned overseas, it blows my mind. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mine too. I can't believe it.
Well, Mary, thank you so much for the info. I've got them locked in. I'm going to put them in my favorites, and I will read everything I possibly can to the chagrin of my wife. What are you reading now?
Let me say one more thing quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
Malcolm Jamal, I have a memory of him, and what you said, he's such a good person, and I'm sad. I'm really sad about that.
I just watched a video of him on this woman's program. It's an older woman, and he was talking about how horrible the state of rap music was. And he grew up as after he left the Cosby Show, he started directing music videos. In fact, he is famous for a music video by New Edition called Any Heartbreak. When Bobby Brown left and Johnny Gill got together, he did their first video when Johnny Gill joined. He was always involved in music. In fact, he has a Grammy for R&B performance. And I saw this video. He talked about the state of rap music and how it denigrates African Americans and how it denigrates our society, or culturally African Americans in the inner city. It was so powerful. And I was like, damn, as I said, when he passed, boy, did we lose a voice. He was behind the scenes. He was very, very important to cultural shifts and destroying cultural norms. And I'm going to miss him.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things he did that most people would not even know.
Yeah.
That he did. He wasn't out there trying to promote himself.
Yep.
He was just doing good and helping people.
He was. He was a good guy. He was a really good guy. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate you.
I share that with you. Thank you so much, Reese. Keep it up.
Thank you. I will. I will say this about Malcolm Jamal Warner. So that time when I interviewed him, when I was on that podcast back in 2017, just after the election of Barack Obama, he had already done that, The People versus O.J. Simpson. He plays A.C. Cowling in the film. And I asked him a question about, hey, when you were on the set, you got David Schwimmer, you got Cuba Gooding Jr., you got all of these people who are doing this film about a very, famous time in our life, infamous time in our life. And I asked him, while you guys were doing this story, did you ever have conversations with each other about whether or not O.J. was guilty or innocent? And I have to admit, I was stunned by his answer, which was no. They did not relitigate the story on the set. I still don't believe it, though. But he said no. He says while he was on the set with all of them, he met all of them, but there were never any conversations behind the scenes about whether or not O.J. did it or not. Which seems, wouldn't you? Wouldn't anybody? If I'm going to be in that movie, I'm going to say, hey, Schwimmer, Ross, friends, yeah, whatever your name is. Yeah, you don't think he did it? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Let's get some top.
He did not.
Let's get to the top of the hour news. It's that time in the WTIC News Center with Dave Maker.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah, baby, we're back. Let's get into some news. Here are your headlines, some stories you may or may not have heard about. The House Republicans added an amendment to the spending bill that would change the name of the Kennedy Center to the, wait for it, this is great, it's a horrible name, but I'm loving every minute of it. The House Republicans want to change the Kennedy Center to the First Lady Melania Trump Opera House. Democrats are losing their minds, of course, over this naturally. They have already spent months freaking out over the changes that Trump has made to the Arts Center. They seem to think it belongs to them for some reason. Well, they said we want to put in a resolution to change its name from the Kennedy Center to, again, First Lady Melania Trump Opera House. Oh, you guys win an election, you can change it back to whatever you want. I hear that the Kennedy Center was always named after Jacqueline Onassis Kennedy, or Jackie Kennedy, for that matter. Also, the president signed the Keeping Men Out of Sports executive order back on February to change federal policy that would never allow men to who identify as women to participate in women's sports. Well, this week, Olympic officials have quietly and without fanfare made their first moves to change the eligibility rules that come in line with Trump's order, according to the New York Times. That means that they are going to keep men from participating in Olympics. They're going to do it very quietly, but the New York Times reported about it. And, it will cause some outrage in a bit, but who cares? A doctor has pled guilty Wednesday to giving Matthew Perry of Friends, you guys remember Chandler, the ketamine a month leading up to his overdose. Dr. Salvador Palencia became the fourth of the 5 people charged in connection with Perry's death to plead guilty. He stood next to his lawyer and admitted guilt to 4 counts to Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett in federal court in Los Angeles. The doctor, who's 43 years old, was to have gone on trial in August until the doctor agreed last month to plead guilty to 4 counts of distribution of ketamine, according to a signed document filed in federal court in Los Angeles. And now time for our stupidest thing.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Do you guys remember we talked about Zohran Mamdani's interview on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker? Well, we pulled out a little snippet from that to talk about Mamdani's government grocery stores. And in that, he used an example as to why he thought a government grocery store would be successful. Listen.
When we talk about grocery stores, I've put forward a proposal for a pilot of 1 grocery store in each borough. These are 5 grocery stores that would cost $60 million in a city budget of more than $113 billion. And ultimately, the reason that we are so excited by them is we've seen that they've worked in Kansas. We've seen that when a feasibility study was done in Chicago, it was shown to be something that was not only feasible, but pressing and urgent in an urban.
Now, you heard him. He said that we have seen that it works in Kansas. Well, what makes those statements so stupid? Well, just 2 days ago, Kansas City did a report on their state-run grocery store. It went like this.
It's clear this Sunfresh at 31st and Prospect is struggling. This is the first section people see when they come in. There's barely any produce. A lot of the coolers and shelves around the store look the same way, empty. So shoppers have been asking us, if the store isn't closing, then where's all the food? A rotten smell comes through the door, and anywhere you turn, you'll see products that need to be restocked. No hot food or deli.
Did you hear what she said? A rotten smell when you entered the grocery store to get your food, folks. A rotten smell.
There was a time this store was on life support. I can tell you today, right now, it's damn near dead.
This is a new low, even to people like Pat Clark, who've watched the store go through its ups and downs.
30 days ago, hell, we look like a grocery store again.
The city owns the Linwood Shopping Center. A nonprofit operates the grocery store. Public and private investments are in the millions of dollars for the center. The nonprofit didn't respond to a request for comment. I did ask the mayor's office if the city had plans to step in and consider additional funding. The office responded, the city will work closely with store ownership and all neighborhood stakeholders to support the long-term viability of the store based on normal revenues from customers and area consumers.
Where's the money at? I'm asking where the money is.
The shelves could indicate the future of the store.
Come in here. Look what's going on.
They also say a lot about how much patience people have left.
Let the store close. Everything on this lot will start to fail. Then whose problem is it then?
Alyssa Jackson, KSHB 41 News.
That's right, folks. And that's what Mamdani's using as a template for grocery stores in the 5 boroughs. Yeah, that's right. There you go. Those are headlines today. Now, listen, folks. I got to say this. You folks who are so ticked off about the Epstein files, I don't know what's with you. I don't know. But I want you to go to my Substack. It's at reeseontheradio.com. Or you could go to Connecticut Sentinel. You could read my article. And my article explains why I've pretty much had enough of you folks. In essence, I'm just trying to tell you that y'all are getting on my nerves. You just are. Here's a little snippet, if you will. Oh, MAGA Nation, bless your hearts. You're like a pack of caffeinated chihuahuas yapping at Donald Trump's heels every time a campaign promise doesn't materialize, faster than an Amazon Prime delivery. From 2016 till now, the red-hatted faithful have been quick to clutch their pearls whenever the man doesn't deliver the moon, the stars, and a border wall. It's a spectacle, really, equal parts hilarious and maddening. Since Trump first rode down that golden escalator in 2015, promising to make America great again, the MAGA base has treated his campaign pledges like a sacred skull, etched in stone. In 2016, it was the wall. Build it. Mexico's paying, they chanted. When Mexico didn't pony up and Congress played hardball, the posts lit up like the 4th of July during a barbecue. Trump's gone soft, they said on their keyboards, conveniently ignoring that governing isn't like ordering a Big Mac. You can't just yell, make it quick at bureaucracy. It's mired in red tape. In 2018, the midterms rolled around and the MAGA crowd was whining again. Trump had slashed taxes, deregulated businesses, and appointed judges faster than you can say originalist. But the GOP lost the House. Why? Because the base couldn't coalesce around candidates who didn't wear a MAGA hat 24/7. They wanted pure, unfiltered Trumpism. And when they didn't get it, they stayed home, pouting. Never mind that midterms are a team sport. Trump wasn't on the ballot, but the base acted like he'd personally betrayed them by not single-handedly flipping every red seat. Fast forward to 2020, and the gripes got louder. No wall funding? Check. No Obamacare replacement? Check. Ex-users were apoplectic. MAGA ignores Trump's failures. No wall, no health care, prices soar. Yet they cling to his lies. Tell us how you really feel. But here's the thing. Governing is a beast. You got Congress, courts, and a media that rather fact-check Trump's tie color than report on policy wins. Expecting every promise to materialize like a genie's wish ignores the swamp's sticky fingers. Now let's move on. And like I said, you can read all of this at my Substack. You can find it at ReeseOnTheRadio.com. The Epstein obsession is peak MAGA self-sabotage. Why is a dead Democrat donor rapist the hill to die on? Meanwhile, Tulsi Gabbard's Trump's DNI pick, Tulsi Gabbard, dropped a bombshell that should have united the base. Classified docs alleging Obama's team cooked up the 2016 Russia hoax, potentially leading for indictments to his inner circle. Trump even posted a cheeky AI video of Obama in handcuffs, set to YMCA. That's red meat for the base, folks. Yet, MAGA's too busy screaming about Epstein. And don't get me started on Biden's auto pen. The conspiracy about Joe signing bills with a robotic pen that barely caused a ripple. Why? Because it's not sexy like Epstein. Which, by the way, I will get to later. If you want to read the rest of the article, you should. I'm happy to say, and I want to thank the folks. I'm applauding you, not me. I want to thank the folks who have been sharing it on X and giving it rave reviews. I appreciate it. Thank you. That applause is for you, not for me. I just want to thank you for those who've checked it out. So go to X, go to Connecticut Sentinel, or go to my Substack on ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com to check that out. What are the other things that we got going on today? Don't forget, go to the Odyssey app right now if you missed the beginning of the program. Okay, because we had a conversation with Greg Bugbee, and I got to get all of his information. Where's his information here? I apologize. Yeah, Greg Bugbee from the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry. I did an interview with him at the beginning of the show. I know a lot of people can't, they're still at work, so they can't get to it, but you need to listen to that interview, and especially at the end of the interview, where Mr. Bugbee says that in his meeting today with people over at Dept, he is going to talk to them about investigating using, eco-harvesters, okay? And he was going to tell us what comes of that. So he's got a meeting with them roughly about now, and another meeting at 4 o'clock. So he says he will contact us to let us know what he gets from that. Hopefully we'll get some response because we can't get anybody over there. But if you missed the interview, just go to WTIC.com or download the Odyssey app, and you can get it there. It is the opening of the show, so you can listen to that. Also on today's program, this is important. What we found out about Hillary Clinton and Russia makes so much sense. God, does it make so much sense. We dodged 2 bullets, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Donald Trump. And 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I mean, we couldn't get rid of Joe Biden, but boy, we had to suffer that because that Hillary Clinton thing, boy, was that a mess. That was a mess. Let me read this to you. The Soviet Union also had information that the DNC leadership and Clinton's foreign policy advisors in London, allies in London, Berlin, Paris, and Rome were not optimistic about a Clinton presidency. So when a lot of you bozos talked all that mess about what the people of the world think of Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, here they were, London, Berlin, Paris, and Rome. U.S. allies were not enthusiastic about a Hillary Clinton presidency, saying, quote, they express notes of doubt regarding her ability to perform the functions of head of state. That's what they thought of her. What we also found out on these reports, because I know a lot of you ignored them. Boy, if you only knew. Russia never wanted Trump to be the president of the United States. They couldn't afford it. The person they wanted more than anyone was Hillary Clinton. And the crazy part is that when you get down to it, folks, you know this. We say this all the time. Whatever they're accusing you of, it's what they're guilty of. So what was the theme about Donald Trump? Right? What was the news media's theme about Donald Trump when it came to Russia? What do they have on him? What dirt are they holding over his head? Well, it turns out Russia had plenty, according to documents that have been declassified. Should we go through a few? Why not? Some of you Democrats in the chat room and listening right here, come on. I know you don't want to hear this, but maybe you should. As of September of 2016, the Russian Foreign Intelligence, SVR, had Democratic National Committee information that President Obama and his party leaders found that the state of Secretary Clinton's health to be extraordinarily alarming and felt it could have serious negative impact on her election prospects. Her health information was being kept in strictest secrecy, and even close advisors were not being informed. This was the information Russia had. The SVR processed DNC communications that Clinton was suffering from intensified psycho-emotional problems, including uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness. Clinton was placed on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. And while afraid of losing, she remained obsessed with a thirst for power. That's right. The SVR also had information that Clinton suffered from type 2 diabetes, that she also had heart disease, deep vein thrombosis, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The SVR possessed a campaign email discussing a plan approved by Secretary Clinton to link Putin and Russian hackers to candidate Trump in order to distract the American public from Clinton's email scandal. They had DNC communications of all of these things. The Russians, had it. Why did the Russians not want Donald Trump to be president and wanted Hillary Clinton to be? Blackmail. What do you think they would do with a President Hillary Clinton in the Oval Office? with information like this that they were able to get. They could have released all of this, folks. Is this the first time you're hearing about it? That's right. And this was in the DNI report. In essence, Barack Obama's government, they are the ones who assessed all of this. They knew all of this. And yet they twisted the facts to suggest that it was Donald Trump. Donald Trump is who they had the dirt on. It was Donald Trump who was compromised, when they knew it was Barack Obama who was very concerned about Hillary Clinton. Ooh, that's messy. That's messy. What was that? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. That's okay. What's this? Let me see. Is this more dirt? Yeah, we'll get into that later. We got plenty. We also have Barack Obama's fingerprints right here. Right here. We have his direct fingerprints on the report. And when they told you that the dossier had nothing to do with it, that turns out to be a lie with the paperwork. And let's go one step further, because the intelligence community had already done its report. But if you're not paying attention, you probably wouldn't have heard James Clapper say this on CNN.
For President Obama, we might not have done the intelligence community assessment that we did that set off a whole sequence of events which are still unfolding today. President Obama is responsible for that, and it was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment in the first place.
Lock him up. Come on, folks. Let's just Tulsi Gabbard. We'll show her some love. She deserves it. We'll talk about this whole scandal about how Barack Obama's fingerprints are all over it and how he tried to, he went after the president of the United States. He did. He went after an incoming president. I'll explain to you why. I wrote a whole article about it. I'll break it down for you. I'll also break down all the evidence for you. And then after that, we'll get into the Epstein files about the story that you haven't heard or you may be ignoring on purpose, when we return. It's Reese on Radio, WTIC, NewsTalk 1080. Go nowhere.
I don't want to say anything, but it's our birthday. I'm sure you knew that already, and I'm sure you've got a wonderful present. 100 years, by the way.
We're back. Reese on the Radio, WTIC, NewsTalk 1080. Plenty of stuff to get into. I just saw this. Trey Gowdy, former congressman, now television host, I just said Cash Patel sitting behind him there when he was a representative of South Carolina, Trey Gowdy. This is him talking to John Brennan about Russiagate.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
Do you understand what just happened? Probably not. Probably not. It's the core of the whole thing. It's the core of all of it. And I know a lot of people are saying, it's like, what's the big deal, Reese? It happened 8 years ago or even longer. But what's the big deal? Well, because we found out that the President of the United States got the media, the news media, to collude with the intelligence community and the president, Barack Obama. Okay? They were all in on it. If you don't believe me, let's watch CNN right now. Let's listen to them as Tulsi Gabbard is speaking at the podium in the press room. Listen to what CNN did during her summation of what took place.
We have no idea. I mean, this is hardly information that we should even be repeating. Never mind that it's, some years after the fact, 8 years more than that after the fact, but also just to look at the source. But look, this is what this White House wants to talk about, and I'm not sure that we should spend that much more time on it.
What? The President of the United States and his staff are laying out crimes committed in the ivory towers of the White House. They are displaying evidence to the American people, And CNN says, I don't think we should be spending any time on this.
We have no idea. I mean, this is hardly information that we should even be repeating. Never mind that it's, some years after the fact, 8 years more than that after the fact, but also just to look at the source. But look, this is the what this White House wants to talk about, and I'm not sure that we should spend that much more time on it, frankly.
Listen,
that we have no idea.
That's Jeff Zeleny of CNN. That's Jeff Zeleny of CNN saying, yeah, you know what, I think we should cut away. I don't think we should cover any more of this. Why would they do that? Why would they have any interest in cutting away? It's the biggest deal. Remember, it was a big deal when Trump had colluded, wasn't it? I mean, don't tell me you folks forgot.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election. No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes, Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election. Yeah, still not sounding convinced. There's a reason for that. You guys might remember during the 2020 debate, Donald Trump said this, because everybody kept talking about the transfer of power, the peaceful transfer of power. You guys may have remembered this little 2-minute, well, he was allowed to give, he was given 2 minutes by Chris Wallace, but he gave this dissertation about the peaceful transfer.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that because we caught you in a sense. And President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it, too. So don't tell me about a free transition.
It wasn't a transition. And, you know, Donald, you said this is all I got. Tell me what I don't have. Tell me what I don't have. We have the paperwork. I'm looking at it. At least I took the time to print it out. Have you? Have you read any of it? Have you read any of the assessments that came from the intelligence community, that came from the Barack Obama administration? Have you? Did you see what they knew? Because I'm looking right at it. I have it in my hand. Or as Rush would say, his formerly nicotine-stained fingers. Mine as well. But I have it. Do you? Please don't come at me. With all due respect, be quiet. You didn't do anything. You're lazy. You haven't done anything. You came in here to have the news delivered to you. Don't ask me about what all I got. I got something. You got bubkiss. What you have is you doing whatever you can to protect your favorite little Negro. Let's be honest. You don't want him being smeared. Why? Because he's black. Just there's no way in the world that he could be corrupt. No way in the world he could be treasonous. No way in the world. He was upset about the fact that he got his behind handed to him by Donald Trump, the guy who he thought had no political weight whatsoever. There was no way he was going to be president. He's not cool and fly like me. And sure enough, he made an embarrassment out of that guy. And that's always been the case. Speaking of which, when Donald Trump went after Barack Obama's birth certificate saying that he wasn't born in the United States, that was a thorn in Obama's side. He hated that. Because anybody who had said anything about Barack Obama was immediately admonished. Hell, his opponent, John McCain, was afraid to criticize him. He would be at town halls and someone would ask the question about Barack Obama. I'm not sure he's American. I think that he's a Muslim. And there would be John McCain going, no, please. No, don't say that. He had to apologize at every turn. He had a news media that was literally on its knees sucking on Obama's kneecap. But not Trump. Trump said, forget that. He wasn't born here. Show your birth certificate. Get it now. Hurry up. He couldn't believe it. And no matter how much the news media was protecting Barack Obama and calling Donald Trump a racist, he kept coming. There was no stopping him until he was forced to do it, which was the first mistake Barack Obama made. When he showed his hand, he showed his hind parts. That's when Trump knew he had him. Then he goes to the correspondence dinner. Donald Trump shows up at the Washington, D.C. correspondence dinner. And he's right there in the crowd. And what does Obama do? Oh, he mocks him. Gets Seth Meyers to mock him while he sat there, stone-faced. Okay, homie, no problem. No matter what he did, every time, Donald Trump just kept coming. He was everywhere and anywhere. And people couldn't understand that no matter what Donald Trump said or did, no matter what they did to protect Barack Obama, he kept coming. Donald Trump was afraid of nothing. He wasn't afraid of the press because they didn't make him. They had nothing to fear from them. And sure enough, came that fateful day after saying he would never be president of the United States. All of his friends and his cronies running around talking about he's never going to be president. He's never going to be president. It's ridiculous. You can bank on it, Nancy Pelosi said. And then to see that day where he had to hand him the keys, he embarrassed Hillary Clinton. He embarrassed everybody. Everybody in Washington, every one of those elites, an outsider made it in. He wasn't anointed. He wasn't ushered in. He did not have the velvet rope pulled to allow him into the club. He bulldozed it. And he embarrassed the golden boy. So what do you think he was going to do? What do you think Obama was going to do with that swollen ego and that thin skin? Did you forget that Barack Obama on the campaign trail even went after Sean Hannity regularly on the campaign trail? A TV show host. Why? Because Sean Hannity was getting to him. Sean Hannity was calling him an Alinskyite. And he thought that he was going to get the public to hate Hannity. They would have succeeded if Hannity didn't let up. He dare not come after Rush Limbaugh. And Limbaugh went after him every day. He knew better. He learned from the Hannity debacle. Don't mess with old Uncle Rush. His legions would annihilate him. Barack Obama knew, but Donald Trump, he didn't expect him to be as good as he was. So, of course, when he thwarts the whole thing and the state, it's like, this guy got in. The American people made a decision. Hillary Clinton is not the president of the United States. Documents here show exactly what the problem was. They show right now what the whole issue was. We have to destroy him. We have to let any outsiders know that if they ever try this again, we'll politically destroy them and their family. But again, just like the birth certificate and saying Barack Obama was the worst cheerleader for America in history, Donald Trump kept going. Lawfare, bullets, didn't matter, kept coming back. These people are political lightweights, all of them. They're lightweights. They have everything handed to them, and they have a sycophantic worshiping crowd, like Donald and Bob J. Sycophantic. They scream and holler about the MAGA cult. But God forbid you say anything about Barack Obama, and their only defense of him is he's black. You can't talk about him. How dumb is that? If that doesn't sound cultish, I don't know what does. So Barack Obama's unflappable because he's black? Like he can't be corrupt? Does anybody remember what Barack Obama did to Jim Ryan? Does anybody remember that? I sure do. When we come back, I'll tell you all about that. When he ran for Senate, Jim Ryan, about how he got his divorce records unsealed. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get back. You guys think you know that guy. You know nothing about Barack Obama. The only thing you know is that he's black. And even that part you got wrong because his mama white. We'll be back. Reese on the radio, WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio.
Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you.
On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
We're back, and let me just lay this out for you, okay? Barack Obama ran for Senate in Illinois. His opposition was a guy by the name of, and somebody, Lori, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think his name was Tim Ryan. Was that his name? Was running against him. And Tim Ryan was married to, gosh, I hope if Rama was here, he would know exactly. I think Jerry Ryan, that's her name. He was married to Jerry Ryan. And Jerry Ryan was famously 7 of 9 in the Star Trek series. I want to say it was Deep Space Nine or Voyager, I think it was. But I know she ended up on Deep Space Nine as well. But he was married to her. And Tim and Jerry got divorced. And during their divorce, they had the divorce sealed because there were some salacious things in there, and Tim had political ambitions. And Barack Obama knew that there was no real likelihood that he was going to become senator of Illinois. Tim had a lot of momentum behind him. Of course, he had some fame, a little bit of notoriety behind him. But sure enough, the Obama campaign, they fought tooth and nail to get that divorce information out. And in it, they found some very sordid details about the marriage between Jerry and Tim. It was personal. It was consensual, but it was personal. And it didn't bode well for Mr. Ryan. Wasn't like Jerry Ryan came forward and, sided with Barack Obama to get the information out there. No, Barack Obama fought tooth and nail. Now, mind you, ask Barack Obama whether or not you could see his school transcripts. He'll lawyer right up. Ask Barack Obama. It was Jack Ryan. Thank you, Lori. Jack Ryan. Ask Barack Obama what was his Harvard papers. As a president of the Harvard Law, you have to write a dissertation. Anybody read it? Anybody seen it? How about anybody seen a report card or a grade for Barack Obama? No. Huh? Sealed tighter than Fort Knox. You can find nothing on it. But that man went after Jack Ryan's divorce and annihilated his career. The man's always been dirty. Look at what he did to his own homeboy. Huh? The guy who presided over his wedding. Remember that? What did he do to him? He threw him under the bus. He acted like he didn't even know. He didn't even know him. Who else? Oh, remember they hid the photo of him with Louis Farrakhan? When he went to go secretly meet with Louis Farrakhan because they didn't want anybody to know? How about his conversations with about Saul Alinsky? Huh? How about that? How come that videotape has never seen the light of day? Interesting. Guys keep praising him. You know nothing about him. I know more about him in my pinky than you do. None of those things you knew. Let's get our first check of weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher's at the BPS Traffic Center.
It's Reese on the radio.
And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yes, let's do it. Congratulations to Daniel V. of Newington. He is our latest recipient of a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe, located in South Windsor, Vernon, and Manchester. If you would like an opportunity to win, you got to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Put in all that information. Make sure you leave your telephone number and definitely your birthday, because if you don't, Roland will bother me about it. So put in your birthday where it says put in your birth date. And don't worry, you can leave your telephone number. I will not call you. I will not bother you, even if you ask. Okay, maybe if you ask, but do it there. Just go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. When we return, I'm going to play a little bit more of this back and forth. Tulsi Gabbard, who's laying out this dissertation of what happened in the Russia scandal that everybody's pretending isn't important until they see handcuffs. Even the left calling it a distraction. There are even some people who've gone so far as to say, oh, come on, nobody is going to arrest Barack Obama. They believe that. Do I have to explain this? Let me explain this to you. Goodness gracious. Do you think that Donald Trump is going to let it slide now? After he gave a pass to Hillary Clinton? Are you guys bugging? They try to put him, his son, his family in jail. They try to jeopardize their lives. And he was shot at. And another guy tried to assassinate him. Well, they called him Hitler and all this other. You think that he is just going to sit idly by and not going to get his retribution? You guys don't. If it were you, what would you do? Forget about Donald Trump. If it was you that they had done this to, and you had the power, would you get him locked up? All right, we are back, Reese on the radio, and I'm trying to find this this piece that I was just looking at. But I was looking at some Andrew McCabe audio that if you were listening behind the scenes here, you would have heard me play. But Tulsi Gabbard she was at the White House briefing, and she was talking about the information that was released about Hillary Clinton. And this idea that Andrew McCabe is trying to sell everybody is on CNN is that, no, these assessments were real and they were warranted and blah, blah. He's creating a bigger problem. And this is that slippery slope I keep telling everybody about, right? This is the slippery slope. By continuing with the conspiracy, openly talking about it, when you know damn well you are going to be, if not subpoenaed to a grand jury, you are going to be indicted for your role. You shouldn't be talking. And they're continuing to talk. They don't have a choice. Because, again, they could have taken Barack Obama's angle here and just said, these are ridiculous claims, and bounced. Then this stuff comes out, and it's detailed, and it is. And by the way, if you haven't read them, go read them. Just seriously, shut up and go read them. If you have this problem with what I'm talking about or what people are talking about in the news and you're screaming to yourself, distraction, go read them. Don't be a bum. Don't be a lazy bum. Go read them. And then come back and say, it's a nothing burger. It isn't. I'm sorry to tell you this, folks. It's not. And I want to go back. Remember, I want you to listen closely to what Donald Trump said in the Oval Office. And this is the part that I really want people to listen to and understand, because this is you I'm talking about. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Donald Trump is a totalitarian fascist dictator. Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody but himself, and he is ruthless. Donald Trump will exert his power, will use his power to destroy people. You saw what he did to Stephen Colbert. That's what you guys say about him. Now listen to Donald Trump.
If you look at those papers, they have him stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they look, he's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction.
Now, I want you to take what you say about that man, you on the left. I want you to consider what you say about that man. The man who you claimed circumvented the Constitution, circumvented Congress, and bombed the nuclear facilities in Iran, right? The guy who operates outside the scope of the Constitution. A villain, a boogeyman, the devil. I want you to take all of that stuff that you told all of us that he was and ask yourself, after July 13th last year, being shot at, almost being killed on his own golf course, having a mug shot, 34 felony counts, having $500 million taken from him in a ridiculous real estate con job by Letitia James, while he's on the campaign trail, everything that they've done to him. He finds out this, and you think that you think that this is going to end with, nobody's going to end up behind bars. I thought you guys said that this guy would use the White House to go after his political enemies. And now you think that he won't? Now that he's got the goods? Tell me, somebody have the audacity to tell me that that's never going to happen. Explain it to me. I know there's a lot of people out here who think that they know Trump. I know there are a lot of people out here who think, I met him. I hung out with him. I've tapped into how Trump thinks. You don't know squat. I'll tell you what I would do. I'd do everything you accused me of. And I would do it by the letter of the law. I would make sure that I had the Constitution behind me. But I swear to you, everybody would pay. Tried to put my boy in prison. You raided my wife's panty drawers. You raided my home. You called me a racist, a fascist. You compared me to Hitler. You wrote articles about me. You galvanized an entire half of the country to want me dead. And you think I'm going to find out you did some dirt to me and I'm just going to sit up there and go, no harm, no foul? After I get in here a second time? By the way, after you did it 3 times. Come on. We have a saying in Queens. 3 strikes, you're out. You may know it as baseball. We know it a different way. This is 3 strikes, folks. Isn't it? So spare me all the rest of the nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. Spare it all. Spare me with your, nothing's going to happen. Even to you MAGA folks, nothing's going to happen. We're 6 months in, and we're looking at one of the biggest political scandals since Watergate. It could be worse than that. In fact, I'm willing to say it is worse than that. And you're going to sit up here and tell me, nothing's going to happen. Ye of little faith. You guys didn't think Donald Trump was getting back into office. You didn't think Donald Trump would win in 2016. You didn't think Donald Trump would do half the things that he's done. Hell, you didn't think he could do 3/4 of the things that he's done. Even you accolades still count him out. Who are you? It's made no sense to me, and it continues to make no sense to me. But look, like I said, a lot of people say, oh, he's one of those MAGA folks. He's one of those MAGA cultists. Whatever. I've never cared. You guys can keep telling me that I do, but I've never cared. But it was Donald Trump who said famously on the campaign trail, I am your retribution. And I know he will deliver on that. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know he is delivering on that. Here's the audio I was looking for. Here's Tulsi Gabbard. I got to put her picture up. Where's Tulsi Gabbard's picture right there? For those of you looking online, look at that lady. Look at that lady. I want to have her children. Here's Tulsi Gabbard.
The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, you can say that DNI Tulsi Gabbard has no integrity, but I would only be forced to ask the question, based on what? She's reading the assessment of John Brennan and James Clapper and Andrew McCabe. The notes that Tulsi Gabbard is reading are from the people she's charging with treason, or at least the president is. That is their assessment of Hillary Clinton, that she was on tranquilizers, that she was erratic, and that Putin knew about it and would use it against her, which was the reason why they were rooting for Hillary to be the president of the United States. If you got no goods on Donald Trump is unpredictable. If you got goods on Hillary, you can manipulate her any way you want. Hillary, hello, hi, wonderful to meet you again. Hey, listen, we'd really hate for it to get out that you're on tranquilizers. Yes, we'd hate for that information to get out. Absolutely. So, we want to take over more than Crimea. Huh? Yes? We thought so. Okay, thank you. That's what would have happened, folks. Oh, hello, Hillary. You are wonderful again. Yes, we've taken over the entire Ukraine. Thank you. We won Poland now. Oh, no? No, you don't think so? Oh, okay. Be ashamed. People find out about your tranquilizers. I don't care. I don't care. I really don't. Because I knew this was going to be dirty today. I felt it. I felt it when I woke up this morning. God, this is going to be dirty. And it was. It's so dirty. And you guys, look, you say what you want. Call it a distraction. But I'm going to annihilate that narrative when we get back. So don't go anywhere, folks. You make sure you stick around. You guys love this Epstein story. And every day I talk about it, I stick another hole in it. I mean, it looks like Swiss cheese already, but I'm going to do more damage to it today. Okay? So you stick around about that. And it is about the story that I am loving, that the New York Times reported on. You remember? I talked about it on Monday. New York Times did like 2,000-word essay on Maria Farmer. I bet you don't know what I know. But again, like I said before, and Timmy got mad at me, I'm not lazy. I do my job. And I am thoroughly researching. It's my job because I have to deliver it to you. Why listen to the news? You have Reese on the radio. Why? Why? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to do the job that you won't do. Huh? And we give weather and traffic. Huh? I mean, give it up for us at WTIC for crying out loud. You got Emmy Award winners. You got traffic. You have traffic geniuses, weather meteorologists. We have a meteorologist. I've never worked with a meteorologist. Have you? I got Jason Caterina. He's probably one of the best-looking meteorologists there out there, except for those chicks that work out in Mexico. That's a different thing. It's a completely different breed. But nonetheless, come on. It's the only reason why you need to check out the show. Because you know I'm going to give it to you. I'm giving it to you straight. Absolutely. That's her picture right there. As what is it Eddie Murphy says in Coming to America? Play so fine, don't you agree? She's a beautiful woman. I give it to Tulsi Gabbard. God. All right, when we come back, stick around. Remember that name, folks. Maria Farmer. She's been in all the news. You don't want to miss this when we get back. Let's get some weather traffic, the aforementioned. No, not yet? Okay.
Just keep going.
All right, we'll keep going until they get here. Thank you for doing this. God bless you. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate you too. What does Lori says? Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and the Ukrainian won. That's right. I'll never. It was what was it? Uranium won. I'm sorry. That was collusion as the Secretary of State. That's right. She gave those contracts to Russians. I'll never forget that either. Anyway, let's get to weather and traffic with Jason Caterina, aforementioned, and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, let's get into this. So, as you heard at the top of the hour, which again, talk about desperate. The Wall Street Journal is reporting Justice Department told Trump in May that his name is among many in the Epstein files. What does that mean? It's in the, and what does the Epstein files mean? His name may be in the Epstein files, which means what? Because I would go so far as to say in the Epstein files suggest in the files committed a crime. Is that the case? Who else is in the Epstein files? Is it safe to say that Bill Clinton's in the Epstein files, folks? Of course it is. In fact, according to a lot of reports, a lot of celebrities, a lot of politicians, all in the files. There is nothing to see here, but it is desperate, and that means that Russiagate is hurting them. That's why it was released today. They could have released it any other day. Here's a part of it. Let's go into it. When the Justice Department officials reviewed what Attorney General Pam Bondi called a truckload of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein earlier this year, they discovered that Donald Trump's name appeared multiple times, according to senior administration officials. In May, Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files, the official said. Many other high-profile figures were also named, Trump was told. Being mentioned in the records isn't a sign of wrongdoing, the Washington Post wrote. The official said it was a routine briefing that covered a number of topics and that Trump's appearance in the documents wasn't the focus. They told the president at the meeting that the files contained what the officials felt was unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. Some of the officials said. One of the officials familiar with the document said they contained hundreds of others' names. They also told Trump that senior Justice Department officials didn't plan to release any more documents related to the investigation because the material contained what they called child pornography and victims' personal information, the official said. Trump said at the meeting that he would defer to the Justice Department's decision not to release any further files. The meeting set the stage for a high-profile review to come at the end. Bondi had said in February that Epstein's client list was sitting on her desk right now for review. Trump said last week in response to a journalist's question that Bondi hadn't told him that his name was in the files. The administration didn't publicly announce the decision until weeks later on July 7th, when the Justice Department posted a memo on its website. The statement, which was unsigned, stated that through a review had turned up no list of Epstein's clients. That's what it says. That's the article. But it's the headline that matters. When we come back, we'll talk about the headlines. You stick around. You're going to love this.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, now, pay very, very close attention, folks, because what we're going to do is jump in a DeLorean and ride with Marty McFly and Doc Brown. We're not going to travel too far back in time, folks. We're just going to travel back in time. Now, you might remember on Monday, I talked to you about a New York Times article. It was July 20th. That was Monday, right? 23rd Sunday. No, it was Sunday. Sorry, it was Sunday. It was a big piece in the Sunday. I talked about it on Monday. And this was that headline. For those of you who are watching on ReeseOnTheRadio.com, I'll read it to those of you who are listening on the radio. New York Times, Sunday edition. An accuser's story suggests how Trump might appear in the Epstein files. A former Jeffrey Epstein employee said that she told the FBI in 1996 and in 2006 about what she considered a troubling encounter with Donald J. Trump. For those of you just getting here, let me read it again. An accuser's story suggests how Trump might appear in the Epstein files, just like today's article in the Wall Street Journal. A former Jeffrey Epstein employee said that she told the FBI in 1996 and in 2006 about what she considered a troubling encounter with Donald J. Trump. This story is about a woman by the name of Maria Farmer. You probably didn't know about her because you probably weren't paying attention to this story, but the rest of us were. So I want to take us back 2 years. 2 years. Joe Biden's in the White House. Jeffrey Epstein is still on the lips of everyone. And Jesse Waters got an opportunity to interview Maria Farmer. We are in the throes of a presidential election, 2023. Donald Trump had already announced. Maria Farmer showing up on Jesse Waters to talk about being assaulted sexually by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in 2023 while Donald Trump is running for re-election.
Maria Farmer was a young artist working at Epstein's property in 1996 when she says Epstein and his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, raped her. She says she first went to the NYPD and then to the FBI, but no one took any action at all. The Bureau sat on her claims for a decade. How many women could have been saved if Epstein had been brought to justice in the 90s? Well, Maria's attorneys believe Epstein could have been an FBI informant who was allowed to get away with sex crimes, and now she's filing a $600 million claim against the FBI for their, quote, grotesque failures in this case.
In 2023, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Now, as I showed you yesterday, Brad Edwards was an attorney that was getting hundreds of millions of dollars from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Never once was anybody mentioning Donald Trump. Nobody was. And neither was Marie Farmer until the July 20th New York Times article. Here's a little bit of her talking to Jesse.
Here now, Maria Farmer, who was the first victim to go to the authorities about Jeffrey Epstein, and her attorney, Jennifer Freeman.
Now, you can watch that, and guess what? In the 7, 8, 9 minutes of that interview in 2023, while Donald Trump is hot on the trails of Joe Biden, no one in that interview mentioned Donald Trump's name. Now, you're probably saying, Reese, but that's circumstantial. What does that prove? Well, she was filing lawsuits. She filed it against the FBI. She could have done anything. She could have gone against Donald Trump. He was a billionaire at the time. And don't forget, it's 2023. Donald Trump is in the news for how many different lawsuits and lawfare. It's everywhere, isn't he? Yes. Yes, he is. He sucked the oxygen out of every story. But yet, Maria Farmer, no story. And again, in 1996, when she made her report to the FBI, she went on to tell Jesse Waters in that interview that when she made that report in 1996, the FBI hung up on her. And then she made another claim in 2006, and that's when they finally listened to her. That's why she believed that he was an informant for the FBI, because they were protecting him. But in both of those exchanges, she never talks about Donald Trump. But again, circumstantial. So I figured, hell, let's travel back 4 years before 2023. Folks, 2019 would put us back 7 years. 7 years. And at that time, in 2019, the President of the United States is Donald J. Trump. And Maria Farmer was in the news. In fact, she wasn't on Fox. She was on CBS. CBS This Morning, where they did an entire feature about her assault, and her art.
The women Maria Farmer started drawing this month are all alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. She sketched 7 so far, including her younger sister.
I tried for a long time to just not think about them. And then I decided I can't ignore it anymore. I'm going to draw them. I'm going to paint them. I'm going to glorify them.
She'd been unable to paint for more than 20 years, she says, after her own alleged assault by Epstein and his close friend, Ghislaine Maxwell.
And that's what Ghislaine and Jeffrey did. They took away the thing I was supposed to do. And they did that to everybody.
Farmer was a promising young artist when she says she met Epstein and Maxwell at an art show in New York City in 1995. Epstein bought this painting of hers that night, and she says eventually offered her a job. The 26-year-old soon found herself working the front desk in his palatial New York City townhouse.
I watched this entire 7-minute piece in November of 2019. It aired. Not one mention of the current president of the United States against its clear rival, CBS News, who played a part, as many other news outlets, to smear the president of the United States, but yet no mention. None at all. No talking, no nothing. All of a sudden, Maria Farmer goes from 1996, I talked to the police, the FBI, they ignored me. 2006, I'm finally heard. All of these conversations, she's on CBS and conservative Fox News and nothing. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, hey, Maria seems to know how Donald Trump may appear in the Epstein files. And then CNN yesterday getting video of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, obviously in some nightclub setting. What does that mean exactly? What, that they knew each other? No one's denied that. In fact, you seem to be escalating a narrative we already know. Jeffrey Epstein knew a lot of people. Jeffrey Epstein was a bungler, a political donor. He was a hedge fund guy worth billions of dollars. He was throwing his money around to anybody. That's how everybody knew him. He was elite. He was rich. He was wealthy. He was part of the in crowd. And a lot of people knew him. To isolate this to Donald Trump is sad. It's sad on the part of people who are trying to suggest, they got something. But even this attempt to use Maria Farmer to smear the president of the United States fell apart a day after. She was on CNN peddling the same nonsense. Now, it's sad enough that the woman was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. But now for the news media to suggest that we don't have videotape of this woman never mentioning Donald Trump in over 7 years? Hell, it's been almost 20. Never once. And now you guys are sitting up here telling me like there's some cover-up. He must be on the files. He must be nothing. You sound ridiculous. Now, again, as I said, you may very well be telling the truth. You know what? You may have him dead to rights. But until you do, you sound silly. So other than the fact that the Wall Street Journal, in its third paragraph, says, that doesn't mean anything that he was in the files. In their own article, what's the purpose of saying that he was told he was in the Epstein files only to say 3 paragraphs later, less than 3 paragraphs later, it doesn't mean he did anything. What's the purpose of the headline? Come on. Seriously. Why is it breaking news on CNN? Why did they make it breaking news on CNN? Don't believe me? Here they are. They're all looking at their BlackBerries.
We do have some new reporting into CNN, and this is, it's a story from the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy informed the president at a meeting in the White House that his name was in the Epstein files.
Now, let's see how long it takes them to say, doesn't mean anything.
This is reporting now in the Wall Street Journal. We should know that CNN has not independently confirmed that information.
Yes, very important. And obviously, and in which context, right? That's really the question.
Exactly. In what context did his name come up in those files?
That's right. They were friends and close friends for years. The president obviously has a timeline about when he stopped associating with Epstein. But this is obviously a big story from the Wall Street Journal.
What's a big story?
They're reporting that Trump was told his name was in the Epstein files. But let's just go through real quick, because this is a deluge of information right now about what is happening regarding the Epstein files. A judge has declined to release grand jury documents from the criminal probe into Epstein. You have the House Oversight Committee subpoenaing Ghislaine Maxwell for a deposition. And you also have a House Oversight Subcommittee, Democrats on that committee, very possibly close to succeeding in forcing a subpoena on the Epstein files. Right. And then
with Republican votes.
That's right. That's how they would do it. That's the only way they could do it. And then Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney telling CNN her meeting with DOJ is going to determine how she responds to that congressional subpoena. The DOJ, of course, has been so criticized by Donald Trump's MAGA base for how they have handled this.
Where's the story about the Wall Street Journal? Where's the story? They're talking about everything else except the Wall Street Journal story. They broke news on the Wall Street Journal headline, and they're talking about anything and everything else. Now, I know that a lot of people don't know how this thing works in the news media, but that's called burying the lead. That's how that works. You start off with the big thing you got nothing on, so you can then go into the other stuff. That's the distraction. Wall Street Journal wasted ink on that article. CNN knows it. That's why they jumped over it. We can't independently verify. No one can independently verify what's in the files. They haven't seen them. So everybody's grasping at straws. Everybody's using unnamed sources. It's sad. It's pathetic. But I've been here long enough. No offense, folks. No offense to the people who do news. I've been here long enough. And I know a lot of them get mad at me every day. Right? Like I'm exposing the secrets. I'm not exposing anything. People with half a brain know that very much this is your dishwasher killing you news at 11. Okay? That's all. Let's just call it what it is. I have to get angry about it because I'm just like, I have to keep explaining to people. And guess what? And you know, I'll say this. You know what really, really bakes me? Let me tell you what bakes me. Grown-ass adults. People in their 50s, their 60s, even their 70s. Still falling for the trope. Still falling for the okie doke. Still haven't learned how to bob and weave. It's embarrassing to witness. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic when we return. Jason Caterina's got weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Hey, let's do a little Hollywood news. I love Hollywood news. I hope you do too. Do you guys know what's happening this Friday on Netflix? Does anybody know? Roland, let's find out. Do you know what's happening on Friday on Netflix? I don't even know if you like this movie.
I do not.
Okay, you do not know which movie this is. Well, finally, after 29 years, this movie is going to get a sequel that airs on Netflix this Friday.
Happy Gilmore 2?
That's correct. Happy Gilmore 2.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Do you really? Is that your favorite movie?
It's one of my favorite movies. It's in my top 5 of all time.
Really?
As a kid, as movies I've seen as a kid, like Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Really?
Happy Gilmore.
You seem to be it sounds like you're a big comedy fan.
Yeah, because you can watch those over and over again.
That's true. And I'm really excited for it. Although I will admit.
What was the movie with that he did, the Triple Linden?
That's the Triple Lundy.
The diving board.
That's Back to School.
Back to School. Okay,
with Rodney Dangerfield.
I like that movie too.
Do you know who's in that? That's of course, probably one of the most famous actors in the world was in that movie. He had a big part.
Who was that?
Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, Robert. Yeah.
I always reference that. One of my favorite roles, speaking of Robert Downey Jr., my favorite role that he was ever in, and if you've never seen it, I think he should have been nominated at least for an Oscar then, was Less Than Zero, where he played Julian, the overindulgent. It was when crack first hit the scene.
Oh, and I never seen.
Yeah, he was freebasing and. Oh, man, it's like, of course, my biggest crush in the world, Jamie Gertz was in that. She's married to a billionaire. And, of course, James Spader, who I'm a huge fan of.
Is that the father of Kevin? What's his name?
James Spader played Red Reddington on that show, The Blacklist. And he was also the voice of Ultron.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The voice of Ultron. Yeah. So, anyway, but back to Happy Gilmore. Anyway, after 29 years, Friday, it's finally airing its sequel. Everybody is coming back from, even Julie Boland. The only person who's not coming back, of course, is the late Carl Weathers. Yeah, it's sad that he's gone, but apparently they have a replacement. They have a guy who's playing Carl Weathers' son, who's coming back to train Happy Gilmore. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Shooter McGavin, baby.
Yeah, there you go. He's back, too. Let's get some weather and traffic with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, you had to at least have seen Happy Gilmore. It's a golf movie.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, are you excited? The sequel's coming out on Friday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see that.
Let's go back to school.
There will be an additional springboard installed for Melon's Dive.
Yeah.
Triple Lindy.
The Triple Lindy.
The Triple Lindy, yeah.
There goes Rodney.
Hey, I will say this: my favorite line in what's her name in Back to School is when he's talking to what's her name?
Sam Kinison.
Yeah, Sarah the love interest, and he says to her, "Hey, well, tell me when you got no class." I will always love that movie.
Rodney. And Sam Kinison is one of my probably my all-time favorite comedian. I heard Sam Kinison, I was down at Musqueamican in Rhode Island. I heard his first album, and I was about 25 or 26. And because of that, I didn't get married till I was 41 after hearing that. Sam kept me away from the altar for a long time.
Wow.
Hey, if you're heading...
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk.
Drop it.
We'll get to some phone calls in a minute, but I got to go through this because this stuff, it's just so much stuff here to get into. So to recap a story that we have been covering here, you remember that the Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford was caught in a scandal by Project Veritas, which we then found out was involved in even more of a scandal when we found out about the death of Eileen Said because of her mother, Elvira. And her mother, Elvira, has come forward to suggest that under the tutelage of the Metropolitan Church of Hartford, she believes that they are responsible for her daughter taking her life while she was away at Rider University in New Jersey. And so a letter was sent out to William Tong, the Attorney General. And that letter was sent by a guest who was on our program, and you're familiar with him, and that is Reverend Jacob Dell. Also, a letter was sent out by Henry Martin and Eric Berthel. The letters that went out to William Tong was to investigate this church because, according to Reverend Dell, they are breaking the law. And that was ignored primarily because William Tong's office says that because the report came from Project Veritas, they didn't take that as being considered worth investigating. Well, Reverend Dell has responded to that, and he wrote this. I am writing to express my profound disappointment and frustration with your office's response to Senators Martin and Berthel on July 14th, 2025, while completely ignoring my letter on June 29th, 2025, addressing you on the same critical matter. Your failure to acknowledge my correspondence, despite the detailed evidence and urgent plea, is unacceptable, and I demand an explanation for this oversight. Your dismissal of the Project Veritas allegations due to concerns about their accuracy and past non-cooperation is insufficient. Even if one were to question their credibility, and I strongly countered that assertion, the gravity of the allegations involving a pastor providing a minor with a chest binder and contributing to a teen suicide requires an initial investigation by your office based upon the prima facie seriousness of the claims. Such serious allegations cannot be shrugged off. They warrant immediate investigation regardless of the source, which is what we said here. Let me remind you of the history of the clergy in this state, where the Hartford Courant stood nearly alone in courageously exposing the Legion of Christ, highlighting the dire consequences of inaction. In light of the end of the Johnson Amendment, the ministers of Connecticut will be organizing an ad hoc ministers endorsement council. From now on, politicians will need to earn the Christian vote in this state and the support of all the people of good faith who are fed up with the licentious behavior your office is allowed to run rampant. I urge you to act swiftly to investigate these allegations and uphold the integrity of our state's laws and communities. Sincerely, Jacob Dell. We then get a letter from, again, Eric Berthel and Henry Martin. Dear Attorney General Tong, your office's July 14th letter to us noted it is the policy of the Office of the Attorney General not to respond to allegations based solely on Project Veritas's reports. With our office policy in mind, we want to make you aware that the mother of Eileen Said, Elvira Said, has appeared in Washington, D.C. on a panel to discuss, arranged by the Federal Trade Commission. Elvira Said told her story there separate and independent from the Project Veritas videos. We request that you conduct an investigation regarding Elvira Said's claims based on the footage. Her comments start at 40:55 of this video, which they then sent to him. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, highly unlikely that he will respond. Again, you forgot one thing. Me. Now, because I have both of these letters and because I've got good friends in great places, both of these letters are going to be sent out everywhere. And they're definitely going to be sent to the news media where they're going to ask William Tong for a response. Now, if Attorney General Tong is smart, he'll just respond to them and open up an investigation, which he should. He's got two reasons to. The Metropolitan Community Church of Hartford is already claiming that they can't hold services at the church because of what they deem are threats. What are those threats related to? This investigation. So, Attorney General, just so you understand, I know you don't think you're going to investigate this, but I don't think you have a choice because it isn't up to you. And I think you're going to learn that the easy way, not the hard, because we're not going to make it hard for you. We're going to make it very easy for you to support the children in the state of Connecticut to ensure that they are not lured in by people like the folks over at the Metropolitan Church of Hartford. Mark my words. And you don't have to get all bent out of shape because it's me or you think that this is some sort of like threat. It isn't a threat. The only thing we're expressing to you is that you do your job because you're failing to do that now. And if you think that that's going to be acceptable to the people of Connecticut, you're dead wrong. Nobody should have to make you do your job. Just do it. Now, I know you got a lot of time spending it on Donald Trump and you're getting your little press. But since you like the cameras so much, perhaps we put them on you. Perhaps this time we get the cameras on you without you having to make a phone call. Perhaps we make the phone calls. They get the press to your office or in front of you. You seem to react when the cameras are on. Let's make sure that they are on. Okay? Now, we will have Reverend Dell here very soon, if not tomorrow. I'll have to give him a call later on today, see what his schedule looks like. We'll talk to him about this. And then we'll get both of these letters out there in the social media realm. Make sure that everybody gets a hold of it. If you see this on social media, I want you to share it with everybody you know in Connecticut, with your communities. Remember, the bottom line is that the Attorney General refuses to meet with a resident, an immigrant of the state of Connecticut, who believes that her daughter died at the hands of at the hands of people who mishandled her, who separated her from her daughter. And he doesn't think that that's important. Well, let's make sure that he understands how important it is. Okay? Now, we'll take care of all of that in a bit. I got people calling me. Do they not know who I am? I'm on the radio. That's what I do. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Joe's in West Hartford. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man, but you went and shifted gears on me.
No. Anything you want. You're good. What do you got?
Okay, well, first of all, what you were just talking about, I like the poem, Tong is Wrong.
So do I.
The next thing is, what was it? The movie.
Oh, yeah,
Happy Gilmore. If golf was played that way, I'd be at the Greater Hartford Open every year.
Wouldn't we all?
Otherwise, I have no use.
You know, it's funny because I attribute Happy Gilmore and Tiger Woods for mainstreaming to the average folks golf because they both made that. You know, Tiger Woods was sort of like the Michael Jordan, you know, the new upstart kid who was a little hip, you know what I mean, and young. It took it away from the old stodgy guy, you know, the country club guys. And Happy Gilmore, Adam Sandler, I mean, committed. You couldn't get more sophomoric humor. I didn't think it made a lot of people go, you know, golf can be cool. And I think that he really did. He revolutionized the appearance of the game, I should say.
I swear I'd like to go to the driving range just to try and get that swing down that he has.
Hey, would you do it? Would you do it with a hockey stick, though?
Yeah. And another thing, my favorite line from Back to School.
Yes.
Jason, if I don't take the test, they'll kick me out. If I take the test, who knows where they'll kick me.
That is a great line. That's a great movie. I love that film. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Let's go to Mike in Hartford. How are you, sir?
I'm talking, if I could be in a movie, it'd be Caddyshack.
Yeah, now you're talking. That movie, I just watched the documentary about that film. God, is it good.
I'm telling you, man, Donald Trump is a man's man. He's the president. They've thrown more meteors at him than the movie 2012. I'll tell you, this guy's incredible.
What? If you really think about it, Mike, there's an interesting part about this because here's a guy that, and again, I the only thing that I attribute myself to with Donald Trump, as far as both of us are from Queens, that's the only thing, is that I look at Donald Trump and I look at the way that he deals with this stuff, and I resonate because I know Queens guys are just built different, and we have this thing. Not that we're better than anybody else. I'm not trying to suggest that. One of the things we used to say about guys in Queens, because, you know, Brooklyn was Brooklyn, and you know, you got like the big, you know, tough guys from Brooklyn. But Queens had to constantly compete with the toughness of Brooklyn, so we had to take slings. You know what I mean? So we were never, ever considered the bad guys or the tough guys because we were in a town called Queens. It seemed too girly.
There are people that think they're better, but that's the way people look at them. But actually, they're more talented in a certain area.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's your perception of these people. I'm not envious or jealous of very wealthy people.
Right.
Maybe the ones that don't deserve all that money.
Nah, you know what? I don't even look at it that way. You know what? I've always been this type of person to celebrate people doing well. As long as when they do well, they always look like they don't belong there. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, thanks, but you know, they have a little humility to them.
I want to make a quick comment about Obama. You know what? He was so arrogant and so felt like he could do anything because he had the backing of the deep state. I mean, that nothing's happened. I mean, and you know what? I just don't think anything's going to happen. They could call him in and have him testify, and Hillary Clinton, who's probably the most repulsive person on the face of the earth in my eyes. I can't stand looking at this woman.
Let me go, Mike. I got to get out of here. Right. Let me get Craig. I'm going to get Craig in the car. Craig, would you rather that I put you on hold for the next break, or do you think you could do it in 2?
I'll wait.
Okay, good. No problem. I want to talk to Craig anyway. I haven't talked to him in a bit. I will say this about that, about that arrogance that Mike just brought up about Barack Obama. People seem to forget about this, and this is something I always brought up in 2008. Barack Obama won his seat in the Senate less than 2 years before he ran for office, for president of the United States. Barack Obama had 180 days present physically in the state Senate, like in this 180 days before he ran for office. People forget about that when it comes to Barack Obama. He was handpicked by Harry Reid, the senior senator from Nevada, over Hillary Clinton. And they were neck and neck, and the establishment told Hillary Clinton to take a back seat and give it to Barack Obama, a virtual unknown. Nobody knew anything about him. The only time he had been on the public stage was when he gave a keynote speech on a Wednesday for John Kerry in 2004. Anybody know that? I do. They said he was an upstart in 2004. By 2007, he was running for president. And he had the backing of Harry Reid. Pretty much the guy. The man. Think about that. Let's get weather, traffic, and news with Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. How you doing, sir?
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
I still don't know what had happened was.
What had happened was.
That's right. It's what had happened was. On Reese on the radio, WTIC. And what had happened was, today, at the beginning of the show, we didn't do an opening monologue because we did have a guest. And if you missed it because you're just joining us, that's okay. You can go to the Odyssey app or reasonoradio.com so you can listen to our conversation with Mr. Greg Bugbee, the Department of Environmental Science and Forestry. He works for the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Our conversation actually went in a positive way. He had a meeting today at 5 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can follow up with him tomorrow, where he is going to talk to folks at Dept about using something other than DQuad. I believe that today Mr. Bugbee was sort of enlightened about some of the things about DQuad that he may not have known and may have been led to believe by folks in the Army Corps of Engineer and Dept themselves, even the EPA. It was a really, really good conversation. I know he probably felt like I was doing a lot of gotchas because of his conversation with Brian Shackman this morning, but I just wanted him to play what he said based upon what the facts were when we have a bunch of people talking about mis and disinformation. So please go to or download the Odyssey app so you can listen to Reese on the radio whenever you want, or even Brian and company whenever you like, and you will never miss an episode. And, of course, important interviews like that you may have missed. And you can check it out whenever you like. Also, I'm just hearing that Gilmore Abrego Garcia actually got released back into the population. That's not true. That's not what I heard. I don't think that's the case. I know they released him, but they immediately arrested him. He's not going back to Maryland. The hell if he is. Right. We'll see. Also, if I could, do I have time to play this? Let me play this. I got a couple of seconds. No, it's too many minutes. It's like I heard that Greg Gutfeld just took a sledgehammer to Jessica Tarloff on the 5. And, of course, now Donald Trump is speaking, so the 5 has actually been preempted by his speech, the AI speech that he's doing right now. He's at an AI summit, so I'll catch a little bit of that. So stand by for that. Also, when we get back, I did have another story that I needed to get into, and forgive me because I didn't have it in front of me. What was that story? Is it this one? Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about Andy Bashir. And, of course, your phone calls when we wrap all of this up. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. More news, more views. We'll get your phone call. Craig, stay on there. We're coming at you in a bit. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Wow, we had an eventful show today, even for a Wednesday. It has been an eventful week with everyone talking about this, that, and the third. Yeah, so I just looked up the Gilmore Abrego Garcia piece, and a judge is ordering his release, but they want him to go to Maryland, I'm assuming to be closer to his wife, because I don't know, maybe they want him close enough to her. I was going to say something really mean, but I don't want to do that. Guys, do you know who Ronnie Cox is? Does anybody know who that guy is? I know a lot of people might not know him. But it's his birthday today, and I didn't realize this as I'm looking at the footage. Ronnie Cox is in a very famous movie. And again, I still can't believe that I didn't know this. A movie that stars Jon Voight, Ned Beatty, and what's his name? Burt Reynolds. Ronnie Cox is the famous guy who plays the banjo in Deliverance. And if you don't know who Ronnie Cox is, you would be more familiar with him from the Beverly Hills Cop films. He plays a Lieutenant Andrew Bogomil. And I'm sitting there looking at him and just going, oh, man, I totally forgot. And I can't say I love that movie, but I remember the first time I ever watched Deliverance. I've got a great story about that, by the way. It's, okay, I'll be brief. This is a great story. So apparently, Ned Beatty was on a tour, right, with Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds tells this story better than I can, but I'll sum up real quick. So they're on this tour of the raft, like because remember it was a river raft kind of deal, a whitewater rafting. Anyway, so there's a tour that they were on, Ned Beatty and Burt Reynolds, and they were going back over, where the Deliverance was seen. So the tour guide was, naming all of the spots and noticing and saying, hey, this is the famous place where they filmed the 1972 film Deliverance. And then, out of nowhere, the tour guide points up and he says, and right there is Sodomy Hill. Well, if you saw the movie Deliverance, you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, Ned Beatty heard that on the tour, and according to Burt Reynolds, lost it. But yeah, I just want to mention, for those of you who remember, I don't know if you ever heard that story, but I did. I'll never forget that story. Because I was like, whoa, if I'm Ned Beatty, I'm going to freak out if somebody's calling it that, because that lives in infamy. But, I'm just saying. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. Craig's in the car. What's up, buddy?
I am going to leave that alone.
Of course you would. But have you ever heard that story before?
No, and I don't want to hear that story again. I've seen the movie about 8 times, but yeah, I don't need to live on that hill.
No doubt. What's going on?
All right, so much. What a great show you had today.
Thank you.
It's been amazing. Starting with the interview, which was fantastic. I respect the guy. It was great. The topic of Epstein.
Yes.
I think people are conflating 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
The Epstein file with the Epstein lists.
Right.
Which are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
So you played yesterday the interview with the attorney who is representing the victims of Epstein.
Yes.
He had a conversation with Donald Trump. Sounded like a lengthy conversation. He provided a lot of information that was actionable.
Mm-hmm.
You think maybe that conversation might be in the file?
I would agree.
So
there's plenty of stuff.
Being in the file doesn't mean anything other than you're in the file because you knew somebody.
Indeed.
So here's a hypothetical, Reese. Real life. How many phone conversations, texts, and emails have you and I had one-on-one?
Holy moly. I can at least say what's it been, like a year now you and I have been communicating? Probably thousands.
Okay, thousands. How many times have we met one-on-one?
Once.
One time. If, God forbid, you or I were a subject of a federal investigation, do you think the 2 of us might be in the file of the other person?
Indeed. In fact, I'd go so far, I'll go another direction. If you were to go and get a federal job, right, like an FBI or a CIA job, I would be the subject of an investigation based upon who you knew. Like I would be asked things like, because it's happened. I have been asked by a guy who was going to work for the DOJ. I worked with him at U-Haul. He went to go get a job at the DOJ. They came down to the office and interviewed me about him, asking me whether or not he had any financial issues. So, yes, 100%.
Of course. And I think that's what leads to the hesitance of releasing the file.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be names in there that are completely innocent that are going to be stamped with you did something wrong. You did something wrong. You did something wrong.
Yep.
That's not what that means. All right. If there's a flight manifest, and I don't know if a lot of listeners have flown private,
mm-hmm.
These people fly private anonymously. You go from point A to point B to point C to point D. You're not going through TSA and taking your shoes off.
Yeah. I think that's what's even crazier about that is that we know what the flight logs say with relation to Donald Trump. In fact, those are part of public records. There are 7 flights. All of them are between Miami and New York. None of them are to the so-called island of Jeffrey Epstein. We do have 27 flights that are related to Bill Clinton. Where they go, for some odd reason, is secretive.
Well, I just hope we're not all judged by the people we've ever met in our lives because we're all screwed.
Oh, you're damn right about that, my friend. Yeah, Russell.
Hey, Reese, do me a favor. Send me the dates when you're going to be up here so we can put something on the calendar. Okay, bud?
You got it. I'll send it to you today.
Thanks, sir.
You got it, sir. Now let's go to Gio's in Canton. Hello, Gio.
Hey, Reese. How's it going?
Pretty good, sir.
I just wanted to talk about your favorite subject, the Epstein files.
Sure.
So I feel like it's a disservice when we downplay the Epstein files because even if Trump was not implicated in any of his actions. We're still protecting the people that were by not releasing those files.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you say, hold on, wait, there's an important part about what you're saying, Gio. Releasing the files to whom?
To the public.
Okay.
The FBI files collected on Epstein.
Okay, but
just
wait a
like
minute.
the MLK files and the JFK files, I think they should be released.
There's a problem.
Regardless.
There's a problem that you have in your breakdown here. You see, you and I can do nothing about the people who are implicated or who the victims claim have abused them. You and I can do nothing about that. So this idea that we should be privy to those files is if, for the sanctity or the, I'd say for the retribution of the victims doesn't make any sense, because we can't do anything for the victims other than mourn that they were abused or feel sorry for them and having gone through that. There's no public scrutiny for us that we can give them. That? Yeah, go ahead, please.
So with that logic, you're saying that it's all right that these crimes were committed
No.
and to turn a blind eye because we cannot do anything about it.
Gio, you don't listen to the show every day, do you?
Unfortunately, I don't have the time.
That's okay. No, that's fine.
This topic caught my eye.
No, that's okay, because what I'm saying to you is that, because I know somebody's going to listen and says, no, Reese talks about that, but you probably don't listen all the time. You can't. So let me explain to you what I said to you. I said, as everybody has talked about the Epstein files, the one thing that they have not said is where are the indictments. In fact, I went on Grok on X, and I went on ChatGPT, and I went on to Copilot on Microsoft. And I simply typed in the question, who has called for the indictment of perpetrators of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein? And you know what they came back? They said, no one has ever publicly asked for the indictment of the individuals who abused those girls. In fact, we can only find...
They're all included.
Exactly. But here's the crazy part. I could only find one person who has publicly said we need to get justice for those victims, and that is Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. That's the only person. So when everybody's talking about the Epstein files, what are they searching for, Gio? An opportunity to point fingers that says, see him. He's a criminal. He's the one who abused those girls. And we can admonish them publicly. And it's like wagging their finger or putting the scarlet letter on them. That's what all of that is about.
That strips the power away from the people. With that power, with that information that is now accredited by the court systems, we can use that to effectively sue our government.
Yeah, well, right.
Is that not true?
Well, I would say the information that we have as it pertains to Jeffrey Epstein, that we could sue our government for that? Maybe
yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to understand. How am I aggrieved by the information that they haven't released about the Jeffrey Epstein information? I'm not following.
Because it's the biggest pedophile ring in the U.S. I mean,
that if indeed
that there's not going to be anybody that indicts it, and to say that there's not people that care in the U.S. about it is crazy. Let's just take Trump out of the situation.
No, and we have
obviously in those files.
Right.
Bill Clinton's obviously in those files, right? Maybe even met a lot of Democrats, like hypothetically.
Oh, it doesn't even matter. So you know what? I'll put it to you this way. It doesn't matter what political affiliation there are. However, when you and I are talking about this, Gio, and I think you and I are independent of this conversation from everybody else, what I'm saying is that what we are witnessing on television is an opportunity to use it as a cudgel. Democrats didn't care. Remember, he died in 2019, right? He died on Trump's watch. And in the last 5, 6, 7 years, there was no interest in this. There were talks about it in the cable news sphere, but no one talked about it at all. It was very scarce, if anything. But then people found
that's a fallacy right there. To say that you didn't see people talk about Epstein.
No. I didn't say that. What I said was, when it started to become an important issue in the news cycle, and trust me, I do this every day, the news cycle found it important to bring up when they found out that MAGA folks were torn on Trump. They were sort of fleeting or leaving Trump's because they said, hey, you promised us you would do this and you didn't. And they saw that as an opportunity to separate his base from him. That's why it's an issue today. Because it should have been an issue 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yes?
Yeah, I could
but
still
was
argue
it?
that it was an issue.
Gio, was it?
7 years
No.
ago.
Was it
It
an
was.
issue at this level, Gio? Let's be honest. Come on. Was it an issue
It
that it
was,
ran the
because
cycle?
he was sent to prison. There was people wondering why he killed himself. I mean, it was pretty prevalent.
Whoa. Are you
I wouldn't say that
hold
it
on.
wasn't.
Hold on. Amy, what I can't remember the woman's name on ABC News. Project Veritas at the time when James O'Keefe was with there. James O'Keefe got a secret video inside the studios of ABC News. And the woman who was the anchor on ABC News was caught off camera. She was talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case, and she said, I had everything. I had Bill Clinton. I had everybody. And her higher-ups told her it wasn't a story. Nobody even knows who Jeffrey Epstein is. So it's not like the news media was covering this. And remember when Ricky Gervais was at the Golden Globes talking about him after his death and said, oh, what are you guys groaning about? He was all your friend. He was all your friend. No one wanted to touch the story. When it became a cudgel for Trump, now you're seeing it. And trust me, when I tell you, Gio, I have the evidence to back it up. For years, no one cared.
Okay. Last thing. Because we're hitting a little roadblock. When have we started trusting Tulsi Gabbard? Wasn't it Trump that told us right after the Israel-Iran conflict happened not to trust her because she said in March that that Iran was not producing nuclear?
And first of all, that's a misinterpretation of what she said. I don't have enough time to get into that, but guess what? I will make that available. But that's a misinterpretation of what she said because she didn't say that. She said that the ICC, I think it was, or whoever it was, said that they were not trying to facilitate a nuclear weapon. But that's not international. But that's not. Yeah, exactly. But let me go one step further and why we should trust Tulsi Gabbard. Because what Tulsi Gabbard released today wasn't written by Tulsi Gabbard. It was written by the Obama administration. That's why we should trust it. It's the words of the people who committed the crime.
Yeah, well, presidential immunity, I guess, after the Trump versus United States in 2023 while he was a sitting president.
That's fine.
Well, I think
if he was doing it as an official capacity as president of the United States, staging a coup, and he should not be prosecuted for it, they should be able to do that in a court of law. But remember, the bottom line is Tulsi Gabbard, you can put it on Tulsi Gabbard and say, why should we believe her? I'm not believing her. I'm believing Obama. He wrote it. I'm believing John Brennan. He wrote it. I'm believing James Clapper. He wrote it. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, thank you, buddy. I appreciate all the questions. And they're hard-hitting. I really did enjoy that. You have a good one. All right, folks, time for me to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Please remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Jason Katarina's got weather. Mark Christopher's taking you home
now,
in the BPS Traffic Center. Yes, sir.
When Reese was a young boy walking through Hollis, Queens, back on a nice summer night, you would hear this walking by all the apartment windows.
Good old Ronnie Cox, baby.
Deliverance, baby. Dueling banjo.
That's right. Don't go up on that hill, though. Don't go up on that hill.
No. Have a great night, Reese. If you're heading into Hartford right now, southbound 91 delays 33, down to 32 a.m.
All right, young blood.
Thank you, sir.
Trouble up into Windsor.
See you mañana. This really was a good show today.
Yeah, it was. Everything flowed real smooth today.
Oh, that's
Burning
fantastic.
291.3.
Thank you, boss. See you mañana.
See you mañana.
Since you merge with 84 West. Quiet middle.
All right, baby. Y'all be good. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Michael. I really felt good about today's show. It's fantastic. Our judgment on that topic, unlike Democrats, we don't all have to be in lockstep every month. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Lori. Thank you, Lori. You were great today. And, Donald, I knew you'd like his question. By the way, you can always participate by picking up the phone. I hope that you can at least say, great answer, Reese, because I had good answers for all of those. Anyway, I love you guys. Eric, you be good. And Matt, of course, my buddy, Matty O. All right, I love you guys. Y'all be good to each other. Stay out of trouble.